What's going on, everybody? It's me, Shane, and I'm here to give you another Mushoku Tensei, Jobless Reincarnation episode review and recap. Today's episode is episode 19, Root Selection. Now, before I go ahead, I need to ask you to please select that like button, that subscribe button, and hit me up with a comment. I really appreciate each and every last one of those things. So, if you remember last time, actually, I don't particularly remember last time. Oh, last time Roxy had met up with her parents. We had a very touching and heartfelt moment that, while the episode lacked tons of action, had tons of character development and character growth. Now, we are rudely, very much rudely so, brought into the scene of, excuse me, Rudy's old body, which means he is in the dreamscape with the man god. And his reaction, of course, is shit. And Manga is just, of course, he's like, "Oh, why are you acting that way?" Um, and I don't think that this is a commentary on like the main character not liking religion or the Arthur not liking religion. It You've had to have read the light novels to understand this, but I really like the fact that Rudy is super cautious about a random being just willingly doving out information for him. It shows that he has a lot of really good instinct. That's all. I'll leave it at that. So, it's been a year since the last time they talked. He's kind of like, "Why are you giving me the cold shoulder? You know, you got a demon eye thanks to me." And Rudy's like, with better advice, I wouldn't be in jail and I wouldn't have had a fight with Paul. And he's like, "You really want to blame me for those things? I mean, come on, man. Yeah, great adventure. You still surprise me." And Rudy, I'm just gonna keep calling Rudy. He's like, I'm still in my old body. I know I've turned over a new leaf. He's like, you know what? Yeah, I am grateful for you. What do you want? By the way, the only advice I want from you: where to find my family? Where isn't your family in another world? And don't give me that shit. Come on, man. You know who I'm talking about. He's talking about Zenith, Lilia, and Aisha. And he also wants to know about Sylphie, Ghislaine, Philip, and Soros. Fortunately, Philip and Soros are, well, Soros we saw got beheaded. Philip is probably already dead. um, the main guy said all right, he's gonna promise him. He wants him to make him a promise. If the next advice he gives him reunites him with his family, he wants him to trust him. What, like a puppet? Nothing like that. He's just, don't you find this hostility thing really exhausting? He's like, it's exhausting without the hostility, which I find very funny. So, um, where am I at? He says, he wants to forget about how he used to look because it just reminds him of all the crap he went through in his previous life. But being here with you, you keep shoving it in my face and it's making me depressed. So, he gives him some good advice. If he gives him some good advice, he'll consider being nicer. And it depends on what comes next. So he sees flashes of Aisha and guards, and the man god says, Aisha Greyrat, stumble upon the scene, but you cannot tell her your real name, use an alias, and get her to explain the situation. And then he said also send a letter to someone who you know that's in the royal palace of Shirone. I don't think it's Shirone, I think it's Shirone. And he wants to know why would he know someone there. And as he does, uh, he says if he does all this, he's gonna be successful with rescuing Lilia and Aisha from the Shirone Palace. So he's disappearing. His voice does a little echo thing. This character is also fully in 3D, which is, I think, it's a really good stark contrast to Rudy being naked and drawn, and then him being this 3D figure, this polygonal 3D figure. Wish would have brought me some water. So he disappears, but then Rudy's saying, "Well, wait a minute. If I know somebody there, wouldn't they've already?" He's gonna say rescued them, but he is brought back to his own body, and he's thrown up over the edge of the water. Ruger's asking him if he's okay. He just says it's after effects of seasickness, which we all know that's not true. He's wondering, what is his end game? Like, what is this guy trying to? Pardon me. Is trying to get him to. he just want to know what the man guy's end game is. He said, did he give him the demon eye just so he'd be able to see stuff like that? Who knows? So we get our nice. I love the intros. We get the nice intro song at the port of the central continent of and they're crossing into the city of Shirone. Eris is glad that she's there, but at the same time, she can tell something's wrong. They're on their way to Shirone, but she can tell something's wrong with Rudy because they're finally on this riverboat. They got this fried rice. They're by rice patty. She's like, man, this is really good. You should eat this, Rudeus. And he's deep in thought about what he's been told. So by the time they get on this cart and they make it into Shirone, this has elephants and all these other type of animals. Rudy was thinking about what the man guy was saying to him, and Air tries to talk to him about his master possibly being there. And he finally opens up and says, "Hey, I got some information that's telling me that Lilia and Aisha here, his former maiden little sister." And Air's like, "What? Didn't we just see your little sister? She seemed very full of herself." Great observation, Eris, because unlike some people who just Unlike some people who have different opinions than I have not fallen for Norn. Norn, while looking very much adorable, I don't like the whole "don't be mean to my dad." That's your damn brother. You don't understand this. Norn seems very more childlike than her brother and sister. And I'll definitely get to her sister in a minute. But I love the fact that Eris says she seems full of herself. And Rui's like, well, yeah, that's my sister, but, Lily is my former mage, and Aisha, I have two sisters. And he's like, guys, I kind of really want to handle this. Can you help me? And she's like, it can't be helped. It's your family. So of course, Eris is gonna help you, man. And RJ's all aboard as well. So he's very grateful they didn't ask where he got this information because he doesn't want to tell anybody about the man god until he can figure out what his end game is. Excuse me. So he's being very careful. He's being super smart about it. So he just starts out by writing a letter to Roxy. He looks out and walks around. He hands the letter off, but we see a familiar maid outfit as he's saying, this is a big city. I don't know how long it's going to take me to find them. And as he starts to search the massive city, he's wondering why guards were even holding Lilia in that vision. So he can pretty much tell he's been followed. Like he's walking and he's saying, okay, can't be RJ because Ruger is really good at shadowing people, so he wouldn't even notice them. It wouldn't be Eris because Eris would just come right out and just say she sees him. So he makes a run for it after turning down an alley, uses his magic to make a new wall, and you can hear Aisha on the side saying, "Where did he go?" The guards come up. He brings the wall down and sees the scene before him that he saw before within the dreamscape. Because initially he thought, does anybody there in that city have a grudge with him? Kind of funny that he was actually right about that. So, Aisha's crying. They have a letter in their hand that they've taken from her. And Rudy's asked, they're saying, hey, it's not what it looks like. And Rudy's like, it's kind of hard for me to take this any other way. You both have grabbed her. We're both from the palace. We promise you. We're just here to bring her back. And she's saying, give me back my letter. She's like, they won't give me back my letter. And he's saying, okay, why did you take her letter? And one guy says, life for adults is kind of hard. And I'm just like, uh-huh. If you're smart enough, you've probably put two and two together because a familiar character is going to come up later. She runs over to Rudy, hugs on him, says, please save her. So he does his, and he looks over the situation. All right, that's his little sister. He's going to save her. Does his magic, sinks them in, that same mud magic he's really, really good at. And they're like, wait a minute, this dude does incantationless magic? Blows the whistle. Just blows the whistle. Excuse me, that's going to bring more guards in. And he tells her, hold on tight. As she's holding on tight and more guards come, does more magic. Pillar shoots up from the ground and launches them into the sky. Now, I don't know how they got down safely. Probably with some good old wind magic to slow their fall. But man, she introduces herself. She's hella adorable, so damn cute. Just Aisha Greyrat does the curtsy in the bow, and she asks his name, and he goes, Shadow Moon Knight. First of all, that is a reference to Common Rider RX Black, because one of the main villain there is Shadow Moon. I I laughed at this. He did the little pose and everything, and she clapped. And he remembered the man god saying, "Do not tell her his name," and use an alias. And she's well mannered and she's cute. She's already 6 years old, and she wants to ask a request. Her mother's imprisoned in the walls, and she uses big words like presumptuous. If this is, I hope it's not presumptuous, but can you know, help me send this letter to my father? Her mother is imprisoned in the palace. And he's like, man, she's growing to a very clever girl. She has a big vocabulary. But didn't your mom teach you had to have money to send off a letter? She said their mom said, well, if a little girl begs sweetly enough, other people would take care of the rest. And uh, Rudy just like, how devious of you, Lilia. So she's been trying to contact her dad, but the castle won't let her. Rudy's trying to dig for more. He's like, do you have anybody else you can count on? Maybe a nice blue hair lady that knows your mother. Maybe an older brother. She's like, I do have one, but I can't count on him. He's like, well, why not? I may ask. And yes, you may ask. She's adorable with her responses, better than Norn. I'm saying that. Aisha, best little sister. Yeah, I said it. So she said there was a box in her house where her mother treasures, and her mother always told her don't look in it. Apparently, it was the treasure of her brother, something very important to him. So she peeked in there, and she's like, "You know what I found? I found panties." And Rudy knows what it is, so he's kind of sweating. He's like, "I found panties." Her brother, who was at 4 or 5, had devoted to a pair of panties, a small pair at that. And she said, according to my calculations, had to be a girl that was around 14 years old. First of all, I feel so bad for Roxy. She's 44, and people think that she is a 14-year-old with her panties. There's such thing as petite women. Actually, I did meet a 31-year-old young lady who dating a friend of mine. I actually thought she was a teenager. So those things actually do happen. Um, but Rudy's like calculations. Isn't she just a little bit too smart? And Rudy's just like, it could be a misunderstanding, right? And she says, nope, her mother confirmed it. Says that he was spying on a girl while his parents were in bed. Oh my God. And she and she sound, and she said, sounds like my mom was just trying to hide it. Um, but she knows the truth that her brother is a pervert. And she says hentai, which that word echoes, and Rudy's just he's dead. He's just like, oh God, he didn't see any of this coming, and he says, no wonder I have to use an alias. And she wants to know his real name. She said, Mr. Rank, I know your real name. He says, it's a secret. People call him the Kennel Master of Dead End. That's all she needs to know for now. He looks over her cute face. She looks at him. She thinks all that was cool. His nickname. She has a little blush face. He's looking at her. She looks at him. He's like, all right, I'm gonna rescue your mom. Leave all this to the Kennel Master, and I'll show you what I'm made out of. She's like, that's kind of sudden. He's like, don't worry about it. So she's asleep. Rudy explains to the group what's going on, why they can't use his real name around her. You know, he wants to. She has a bad impression of her brother. She wants to show her, his good side. And Eris thinks that he's good the way he is, and he says Eris, and he's making this face, and I'm like, oh, Eris. He smiles, and then she goes, why do you make gross faces whenever I compliment you? Which is just freaking hilarious. Um, Eris and Ruger want to just bash right on in there, which I kind of wish they had bashed right on in there. If I'm going to be completely honest with you. Oop, my notes went away. Let me go back down. So I kind of wish they would have just crashed on in there. But he's like, no, we're gonna wait. I'm gonna wait for Roxy to reply to my letter. And it's crazy because he doesn't know, but we know stupid ass man God probably already knows, Roxy's in demon country. She ain't nowhere near there. So can't I was waiting to see how this is gonna turn out. And unfortunately, I always count how many minutes are left in the show. Especially since I have to pause to do some of my notes. And oh boy. So next morning, you know, it's so adorable. Brother, sister, possible love interest. Eris on the end. Aisha's hair is caught in Eris's mouth. But this is all, it's adorable. And someone comes at the door. They ask for Rudeus, Greyrat. He's like, yeah, that's me. He's trying to want them to be quiet so, Aisha doesn't hear. And one of the Palace Royal Guards, Ginger York, she's there for him to take him to Roxy. I'm like, oh boy, I know this is a lie. We all know this is a lie because Roxy ain't there. So Eris wakes up as he comes in to, get dressed. I don't think RJ ever really sleeps. I don't think he really sleeps. Um, she says, so where you going? He's like, I'm gonna go meet with my master. And, I'm just gonna go by myself. It'll be alright. Eris says, next time, you gotta introduce me to her. Of course I will. Ruger's like, you sure about going alone? Shouldn't have went alone. But he said, oh yeah, no, it'll be fine. You know what? I'll run at the first sign of trouble. So she's leading him down. He leaves. I do like one thing. I did put this in my notes. I love how open they are. So the passage of time, of course, in the anime, I don't know how it is in the novels. I've kind of skimmed some cliff notes here and there, and I haven't read the manga yet. But I like in this anime how in other shows, passage of time is kind of like a thing. Like you kind of have to pretend until someone tells you, "Hey, this is how long we've been here." Even with like shows like Naruto that did a time skip, other shonen type animes, and even shows like Dai Hack, the first isekai, if you will, shows like that. And in Inuyasha, you have to be told how long time has passed. I can appreciate that time has passed enough that these guys are open with each other. The only thing he would not tell them about is this weird ass god that he doesn't know why this guy wants to help him. Because let's be clear, if it was a benevolent being, it would have said, "Well, I want to help you because you're a good person, you're a good man." You see those type of interactions in other media when it comes to games and anime. Gods that come down and give you advice, a lot of times it's for whatever they need to be pushed along, or it's like, "Hey, I actually really like you. I'm definitely going to help you out." That's how it works. Selfish gain or really like you. Not once has a god said that he likes him. He's just amused by him. That's not a good starting point. You also have to look at the relation with Japanese people and their gods and with demons and stuff like that. So, like I said, I don't think it's a commentary on anything like that. I do believe it's like, hey, I'm super smart. I'm paying attention to what you are saying and what you aren't saying. So anyway, he's traveling. Apparently, uh, you know, before he travels, he has Eris to watch after Aisha, and she says his name very loudly. Aisha doesn't wake up, and Rudy gives her a look, and she's like, "What?" And it's just funny, just like, "What?" So you just forgot that quickly. You're not supposed to say my name. But he's led to the castle. Apparently, Roxy has always bragged about him, how he's able to do incantationless magic. She said that she could not be his teacher because he was way too advanced. And he's like, oh, it's just an exaggeration. He's happy that she brags about him, right? And instead of going into the front, she takes him to the side. And they're walking down. He's like, oh, I know you two guys. They're the two guards from before. He's like, sorry about the misunderstanding. So they take his bags and his staff, and you can just smell the setup. You can smell the setup from a mile away. And Ginger looks like she wants to say something, but she doesn't. So he walks in, and here's the fat, don't want to use too many four-letter words. Here's the little shit. His name's Pax. If you remember back when Roxy used to write Rudy, we would see him, and he was doing kind of Same thing Rudy was doing, like taking her panties and trying to peep. She even said that too. And I love the fact that Roxy knew that he took a pair of her panties, but you know, future potential waifu, what are you gonna do? Um, so we know this kid. He's not a kid anymore. They both have grown, but well, he's still technically a kid. This jackass is now in charge. He has the letter. Instantly, the moment we get in the scene, I peep to his right. Sorry, to his left. There's Lilia tied up. Her eyes are closed. She doesn't have her own glasses. So I guess she can't see, but she's tied up and bound. And it's like, oh god. And initially Rudy was thrown off by hearing a man's voice because he was looking for Roxy. And dude just says, "All right, drop him." They pull a rug. They hit a thing. He goes through the floor, and I'm thinking to myself, Rudy, I thought your reflexes were better than this. You could just wind gust Kamehameha back up or something. No, he falls down. There's this magic circle seal underneath him. There's a barrier. He can't get out. This asshole is calling down to him saying this is a king class barrier he made to capture Roxy. And Rude's like, look, we came out to the wrong foot. If you just go get Roxy and talk to her, he's like, Roxy ain't here. And Rude's like, huh. He introduces himself. He's Pax. He's saying, so you're Roxy's former lover, and Rudy goes, oh no, that's not true at all. He's like, really? And Rudeus, I love this is the funniest thing. Rudy goes, well, it's good to see I'm not cuckolded by this guy. Loved that was actually in there. Love it. He's like, this guy has no match for me. So he is literally landing on things. He's like, look, I'm nobody. And the guy's like, he wants to make Roxy his sex slave. He wants her to bear him 5 heirs. He's talking about raping her in front of him. Trigger warning. I'm sorry, I should have put the trigger warning, but this is literally what he said. He wants to rape her in front of him and says, you know what? And I'm going to cut your head off. So, if you all thought that Rudy was sick and perverted, yeah, he's a bit of a perv. He is not a nasty dick like that at all. Just wowzers, wowzers. And anyway, um, Rudy says, just want to point out something here. How is she going to find out about it? Well, Roxy's smart. She'll find out. He's like, no, you got to spread the word. If you don't spread the word, you got to have one of us call for help in order for it to get out there. He's like, well, you turned up here. And he's like, I can't tell this fucker how I even knew to come here. You can't tell him like, yeah, I had literally divine intervention to get here. The dude's an idiot, and he's holding everybody hostage. So he covers the thing, and we can hear him talking to the guard, Ginger. She's like, is it really necessary to go get the little girl because we already torn up the letter. We have Rudeus, and he's like, do you want your families to suffer the consequences? He is holding these people hostage. Wow. And Rudy's down in this hole thinking, did the man guy pull a fast one on him? Because this is a very shitty situation. And I love the fact that things are going decently for Rudy. Like, he's getting the bad situations, but they're turning out better. At the same time, he wouldn't be in these situations if it wasn't for the man god. So it is literally a catch-22 with this. Like, either you go to jail, or you don't go to jail. But if you do go to jail, you find out this is where one of your masters/students used to live from. Then you get more backstory, more building, and more trust with more people in this world. I don't know. Next time it's called The Birth of My Little Sister the Maid. So we will get a nice little flashback with how was it? Uh, how Lilia was born. Lilia, no, how Aisha was born. Um, I'm okay with that. I like that. Hopefully, towards the middle or end of that episode, hopefully we get a thing where it's like, hey, we're coming to save Rudy, but we probably won't. I appreciate the flashback. But damn, why is it that this kid doesn't die? But we gotta see Saurus get his head cut off? Like, literally, the dude who loved beast people a lot, enough to, have sex with them, but we gotta see him, who's more honorable, get murdered while this jackass was threatening his guards and royal guards families just for. And this is actually one of the most medieval things I've seen. Like this is a world of spells and swords. It's pretty much one of the most what I'm looking for. One of the most medieval things I've seen. This is like Game of Thrones level. It's like, hey, she talks about this guy too much. I'm gonna use him to get her because I'm gonna have my way. And I look forward to seeing what happens to this kid. Don't know if he's gonna die. Would be kind of interesting if he did die, though, wouldn't it? So, as always, I thoroughly enjoyed this episode. I cannot. It's unfortunate, but I cannot rate these episodes. But what I will do is when this entire first season is over, because this is in season 2. This is a part 2 of the first season. I will definitely give my top 3 favorite episodes of excuse me, my top 3 favorite episodes of the second part of season 1. I think I already said last week's. Last week's was pretty damn good. So I'm looking forward to seeing more backstory with Lily and Aisha, seeing how close mother and daughter is how close mother and daughter are. We did get a nice little flashback with Paul and Norn, seeing how they came to be where they are. So maybe we'll be that. Maybe we'll get flashback for like 15 minutes, and then for the rest of the 23 minutes, we'll get Rudeus going. All right, I gotta get the hell out of here. This show hasn't disappointed yet. So let me know what you think of the episode in the comment section down below. Uh, I apologize for using the R word. It's in there. Next time I'll put a trigger, I'll just say trigger warning before I say the word. Just letting you know. Hit me up with a like. Hit me up with a subscribe if you're new here. And if you aren't new here, hit the notification bell so you can get notified of more videos like this. We do these every Sundays when these come out. And as always, share the video so others can join in the conversation. Mushoku Tensei is my anime of 2021. And I'm not ashamed to say that. Had a bit of a I didn't even have a debate. Is people if you don't watch anything other than what's in Shonen Jump magazine, you probably won't experience a lot. So you should step out of your comfort zone. Watch a slice of life, watch a romantic anime, watch something like this that's very adult and handles themes that anyone who's over the age of 20 can definitely see and identify. Anyway, thank you for spending some time with me. Please be good, be blessed, wash your hands, wear a mask, be good to yourself, be good to others. You're not alone. But either way, if you're being good, just don't be a jerk to anybody, please. I'm definitely going to see you guys next time. Can't wait to see this next episode. Have a good one.